The flight home was supposed to happen 3 weeks later, but fate had other plans. I stepped out of the taxi with my duffel bag hanging from my shoulder, exhausted from months of deployment, carrying nothing except the hope of finally sleeping in my own bed. The apartment looked exactly the same from the outside, yet something inside me felt strangely uneasy. When I unlocked the front door and quietly walked in, my roommate turned toward me. The color drained from his face. His hands began to shake, and he whispered words that instantly made my heart stop. I wasn't supposed to see this. In that single terrifying moment, every joyful thought about coming home disappeared, replaced by questions that felt heavier than the backpack I had carried across foreign deserts. I had survived dangerous missions overseas, but nothing had prepared me for whatever was waiting inside my own home. Before we continue, if you believe people deserve kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in hope, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts around the world. I had met Ethan 4 years earlier when we were both struggling to pay rent after college. He was funny, dependable, and the closest thing I had to family after my parents passed away. When I received deployment orders, trusting him with the apartment had never felt risky. We promised to keep in touch, and although military life made communication difficult, we exchanged messages whenever possible. He always told me everything at home was fine. He sent photos of the apartment, watered my plants, and even joked about keeping my favorite coffee mug safe until I returned. Every message strengthened my belief that no matter how difficult deployment became, I still had a place waiting for me. Standing in the living room now, I noticed small details that immediately felt wrong. My old bookshelf had been moved against another wall. New blankets covered the couch. Children's drawings were hanging on the refrigerator with colorful magnets I had never seen before. Tiny shoes rested beside the front door. None of it made sense. Ethan looked terrified instead of happy. His breathing became shallow while tears gathered in his eyes. Whatever secret he had been hiding was clearly much bigger than rearranging furniture. Before I could process everything, I heard soft footsteps coming from the hallway. A little girl, maybe 6 years old, peeked around the corner holding a worn stuffed rabbit. She looked frightened by the sight of a stranger standing in what she clearly believed was her home. Behind her appeared a tired young woman carrying a sleeping baby wrapped in a faded blue blanket. Her eyes immediately filled with fear as she realized someone unexpected had arrived. For several seconds, nobody moved. The silence became almost unbearable. Ethan finally explained everything. Only 2 months after I had deployed, he had met Sarah at a community food bank. She had escaped an abusive relationship with nothing except her 2 children and a small backpack. Shelters in the city were completely full, relatives had abandoned her, and she had nowhere safe to go. Winter arrived early that year, and temperatures became dangerously cold. Ethan couldn't bring himself to leave them sleeping inside their old car. Knowing I was thousands of miles away, he made a decision without asking me. He opened my apartment door and gave them a temporary place to stay, hoping I would never have to know because he expected to find another home for them long before I returned. Instead, every plan had fallen apart. Affordable housing became impossible to find. Sarah worked 2 jobs while caring for her children, saving every dollar she could. Ethan picked up extra shifts to help with groceries and utilities. Together they managed to survive one difficult week after another, constantly praying I would not come home earlier than expected. They weren't hiding a crime. They were hiding desperate kindness born from impossible circumstances. At first, I felt deeply hurt. Months of deployment had been filled with dreams of coming home to familiar surroundings. Now my bedroom contained a small crib beside the window, my desk had become a homework table, and every corner of the apartment carried evidence of another family's daily life. Part of me wanted to be angry that such an important decision had been made without my permission. After everything I had endured overseas, wasn't it fair to expect my own home waiting exactly as I had left it? That night I barely slept. Memories from deployment mixed with confusion and disappointment. Yet sometime before sunrise, I quietly walked into the kitchen for water. I found Sarah sitting alone at the table studying medical textbooks while trying not to wake the baby. She apologized repeatedly, explaining that she had almost completed nursing school before escaping her abusive partner. She had lost everything except her determination to give her children a future where they would never fear another night. Her words weren't dramatic. They were exhausted, honest, and painfully real. Over the following days, I started noticing things I had missed at first. Ethan had sold his motorcycle to help pay legal fees so Sarah could gain custody protection. The children's clothes came mostly from donations. The little girl proudly showed me drawings of soldiers because Ethan had told her heroes came in many forms. She believed every person wearing a military uniform spent their days protecting families exactly like hers. Hearing that nearly broke me. Deployment had taught me many lessons about courage. I had seen bravery on battlefields, but I realized I was now witnessing another kind of courage inside my own apartment. Sarah woke before sunrise every day, worked long shifts, attended evening classes, cared for 2 children, and still smiled whenever they laughed. Ethan had quietly sacrificed his own comfort without expecting praise or recognition. Their strength wasn't loud. It lived inside countless small decisions to keep moving forward despite overwhelming hardship. The anger inside me slowly disappeared, replaced by something much stronger. I remembered the promises soldiers make to protect people who cannot protect themselves. Somehow, I had forgotten that those promises shouldn't end after coming home. Together, we created a new plan. I converted part of the living room into my temporary sleeping area while Sarah finished her nursing certification. I helped Ethan repair the apartment, found extra contract work, and watched the children whenever possible so Sarah could study. What had begun as an unexpected invasion of my privacy slowly transformed into the closest thing any of us had experienced to a real family. 6 months later, everything changed. Sarah graduated with honors and accepted a full-time nursing position at a local hospital. Her first paycheck allowed her to sign the lease for a modest apartment of her own. The day they packed their belongings, the little girl hugged me so tightly that I struggled to hold back tears. She handed me one final drawing showing 4 people standing beneath a bright blue sky with the word home written above them. It wasn't the apartment she was thanking me for. It was the feeling of finally being safe. Ethan apologized once more for making the decision without asking me, but by then I understood something important. Sometimes life interrupts our carefully planned expectations because someone else's survival depends on our willingness to share what we already have. Coming home early had felt like terrible luck. Looking back, I realized it had become one of the greatest blessings of my life. Instead of returning to an empty apartment, I had discovered a purpose I never expected and friendships that would last forever. If this story has touched your heart in any way, please like this video, share it with someone who believes compassion can change lives, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness so more stories of hope and second chances can inspire people around the world. Before we reach the end, please leave a comment telling us about a time when someone showed you unexpected kindness or when you helped someone without expecting anything in return. Your story may become the encouragement another person desperately needs today. Years later, I still keep that child's drawing framed beside my front door. Every time I leave home, it reminds me that the strongest people are not always those who win battles. Sometimes they are the ones who quietly open a door for someone with nowhere else to go. We cannot always control when life surprises us, but we can choose whether those surprises become moments of resentment or opportunities to change another person's future forever. That unexpected early return from deployment did not give me back the peaceful home I imagined. It gave me something infinitely more valuable, a family built not by blood, but by compassion, sacrifice, forgiveness, and the simple courage to believe that one act of kindness can echo through